your homework, put it back there. All right, number 2 is 60, just check your paper. You should hardly be missing any of these. Number 2, 60 degrees. Number 3, 45 degrees. Number 4, 45 degrees. Number 6, negative 45 degrees. Number 17, pi over 2. Number 18 is 0. Number 19 is pi over 2. Number 21 is pi. Number 22 is pi over 3. Number 23 is 5 pi over 6. What angle is that, somebody? What angle is 5 pi over 6 in degrees? Gotta get familiar with these angles. Jimmy? That's 150. 25 is pi over 3. 26 is negative pi over 6. And 27 is 2 pi over 3. What angle is that? 2 pi over 3. What angle? Noah? 120. All right, everybody good on those? That would be part 1 of the next test, that homework you just got back. So that would be like a part of the test you should hardly miss anything on. Okay, notebooks out. Wednesday, January 25th. Here's what we're going to do today. Okay, look up here on the board. So you don't need your iPads right now. Look up here on the board. Mark down this and then move off to the right in your notebook and mark down this. Example 1 and example 2. Now this is going to be a little different, so pay attention. Example number 1, example number 2. Actually, tomorrow, we got short periods tomorrow because of the rally, but tomorrow, hopefully after class tomorrow, the stuff for the next test is going to be almost finished. And then Friday, I'm going to kind of wrap up and kind of tell you how things are going to be. The test will be next week sometime. I'll let you know Friday. The homework you turned in today, you had the second part of the homework for worksheet 2. You had problems that looked similar to this. Now, can one of you, what did I tell you to write down on the paper when you did these kind of problems first? Because you're going to start this the same way. Yesterday, the second part of yesterday, worksheet number 2, the problems looked like this. And what's the first thing I said to write down? Ethan?
You write down y equals whatever's in parentheses.
Okay, now, go in your notebook. Let y equal whatever's in the parentheses. Now, I'm going to take, I got 3 examples to show you today. Let y equal what's in the parentheses. What's the next thing you write down? Now you've been doing this part every day. In other words, what does that mean? You've been doing it since Monday. Now, come on, this part you've been doing since Monday. You know, you got y equals something. What's that mean, Max?
Cos y equals 2/3.
And over here, the tan of y equals negative 5/12. Now, is one of you smart enough to answer this question? When I showed you these kind yesterday, wasn't this number right here a special angle value where you could give me the answer? Now, the papers are back there. Guess what? You can't do that here. Can one of you tell me why? Look at the 2 examples on the board. This says cosine of y is 2/3. This says tan of y is negative 5/12. There's a problem with those numbers. Why? They're not what? Yesterday they were. Today they're not. Jim? No, that's not what I mean. These numbers that it equals are not what? Yesterday they were, Alex. That's right. They're not special angle values, okay? Now you might want to have that out. They're not special angle values. Now on a test, I would put it on the test. When you do these kind of problems, you could just, this is what you're going to have to use. And you did something like this on the last test. You're going to have to use the x, y, and r values. Now, do you see what I did over there? Just so you can see it all. I'm going to stand up here and say, all of you should already know all that. All right, those are your definitions, x, y, r. Because that's what you're going to have to do here. R squared is x squared plus y squared. R is always positive. You learned that a long time ago. That's basic trig over there. So, what quadrant is this first now? You still got to know your quadrants. How?
1.
Okay, when it's positive, it's always 1. What quadrant is this one going to be? Now, look what I did here. You know, when I'm done with the lesson, if you want to take any pictures here, that's fine. Here's your little summary again. Look what I did over here, just so you got it up there. There's all the inverses, right? You see how I drew this? Right? That's what they cover. What quadrant does that one have to be in? That's inverse tan. What quadrant you got to be in? At 4. 1 or 4. If it's negative, it's got to be down here. So this is quadrant 4. Okay, now watch this. Because that test you guys took, the last test, number 6 on the test was the one you had to use x's, y's, and r's. Some of you butchered that problem badly. You don't want to do it again here. What's the trig definition for cosine? You've got to know your definitions. You just have to. There's no way around it. Chris? X over r. And the trig definition for tan is, David, y over x. Now, look. That's what them numbers are going to be used for. So what values do you know right away? Give me the values you know right away. The trig definition for cosine is x over r. So give me the two values you know. Rob.
X is 2.
X is 2
R is 3.
and r is 3. Now, let me come over here. Here's where you got to be careful. This is in the 4th quadrant. You see this negative sign there? That negative sign isn't for both of them, is it? Negative sign goes either with the 5 or with the 12. Now, look over here. If you're in the 4th quadrant, isn't the x going to be positive and the y going to be negative? Isn't x positive, y negative in quadrant 4? So somebody, give me the two values of x and y. You've got to make sure you got the right signs on the right numbers. This negative is either for the 5 or the 12. This is y over x. Give me the values. Make sure you got the right signs on them. How?
Y is -5 and x is 12.
Y is -5 and x is 12. Now, who has a question so far? Okay, now what are you going to do? In both problems, what are you going to do right now? Because class today, this ain't going to take the whole period today. I want you to get this down really good, because some of you messed this up last time. Nick?
Yeah, whatever's missing, so.
Just use your r squared equals x squared plus y squared over there. So over here, you would go now, in your notebook, you would go r squared, that's 9, equals x squared, which is 4, plus y squared, right? So you put the 4 on the other side. Y squared equals, now you've done this many times in here. Dave?
5.
5. So what's y?
Red.
Will it be positive or negative?
Positive.
because you're inquiring one. That's right. All right, let me slide over here. Plug in r squared equals x squared, which should be 144, plus y squared, which should be 25. So r squared equals 169. So what's that? No, perfect square. R is always positive, remember. Now watch. These two problems are like almost done already. I'm not going to say anything. What do you think you're going to do to continue the problem? Now go back to the original problem. Boys, pay attention here. Go back to the original problem. This said the sine of that. This says the cosecant of that. How did we start the problem? What did we say the parentheses equal? What did we say the parentheses equaled? It was the very first thing you wrote down. What did you say whatever was in the grouping symbol equaled? Adam, you said let y equal that. Right here. That's the first thing you said. So look, this is all you have to do. Now here's the problem. I'm just going to draw an arrow here. Sine. Bring it over. What's that? Do you see what I did there so far? Over here. Cosecant. Bring it over. What's that? It's y. Right there. Right here. What does the y represent? That's the what in both problems. What does the y stand for? A what? Oh man, you've been doing this since Monday. You said let y equal that. What does the letter y represent? A what? Oh my gosh, a what? Jim? Thank you. It's an angle. Look, it says cosine of y. Y is the angle. What's the final answer to the problem? This part's easy. What's the sine of y? Guess what? All you're doing is using your x, y's, and r's. Just use the definition. Do you understand what I'm saying here? What's the definition for sine? Now that's why I wrote all those over there, for a quick review, even though you should have already known those. What's the definition for sine of an angle? This part's simple. What's the definition for sine of an angle? Quinn? Y over r. Okay. Y over r. You're done. There's the answer. Now I'm going to do another one here. Do you see what I did there? In trig, listen to me. In trig, if you know the values of x, y, and r, couldn't you find any trig function value of anything, if you know the values? You would just plug them into those definitions, right? Here. What's the trig definition for cosecant? What is it? What's the trig definition for cosecant? Rob? R over y. Just plug in your values. R is 13. Over y is -5. You're done. That's the answer. -13/5. Now, I'm not done yet. Who has a question? Quentin, what are you doing? iPad, put it down. I told you, we're not using them yet. Who has a question? Those two are done. Ethan.
Can we just put the negative sign right next to
Yes.
the fraction bar?
Yes.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Look, positive over a negative is a negative, so that's actually where it should go, right there. Noah.
For example 2, should R be negative 15 since it's in 404?
R is always positive. R is always positive. The only thing that could be negatives are the x and the y's. And how do you know if the x's and the y's are positive or negative? Depends where it's at. Here, in the first quadrant, those are both positive. In the second quadrant, x is negative, y is positive, right? In the third quadrant, x is negative and y. There's your rules for signs right there for x's and y's. When I'm done here, you can take pictures of anything you want up here. That's a nice summary. This stuff's a nice summary of everything I've been doing. Okay, write this down. Example 3. Write this down. Example 3. Cosecant, parentheses, arc cotan of -3/2. There. Now watch, I'm going to do exactly the same procedure as the first two I did. Your homework's going to be like 7 problems, similar to this. How do you start? Pay attention here. There's a number of you in here who really screwed this up on the last test. What's the first thing you got to write in your paper? Come on, I just did 2 problems. Rob.
You bring it down to y equals.
You say let y equal what's in the grouping symbol. You gotta write it down. What's the next thing you write down? What's that mean? This part you've been doing since Monday. What's that mean? Max.
Cotan of y equals negative.
Cotan of y equals -3/2. Now, as soon as you write this down, you got to indicate the quadrant. And all I'm going to say is you're going to screw a lot of things up if you have the wrong quadrant. And that's why you just got to know this stuff right here. What quadrant you on? This is inverse cotan. What quadrants that have to be in? This is inverse cotan. It's all up here. Ethan.
1 and 2.
The second. Cotan is 1 or 2. So if it's negative, it's got to be in 2. Second quadrant. What's the trig definition of cotan? See, now you're gonna get all this x, y, and r stuff. Once you have the x, y's, and r's, you're set. You can find anything. Quinn.
X over y.
X over y. Now, you're in quadrant 2. See this negative sign? It's not for both of them. It's either with the 3 or it's with the 2. Just like I was saying over there. Somebody, give me the values. You're in quadrant 2. Look, you're in quadrant 2. Give me the values. X over y. What are they? Adam. X is -3 and y must be the +2. Who has a question? Are you sure? I stood up here before the last test and everybody said they got it. You didn't have it. Now what do? Rob, find the r. So r squared equals x squared plus y squared. So r squared equals 13. R is always positive. Fellas, listen to me. This really isn't that bad. If you screw up the x, y's, and r's, you ain't going to get the right answer. You just use your definition, and then you come back here. Cosecant, you didn't do anything with that yet. Cosecant of, what's the grouping symbol? How do we start the problem? Look, I'm doing the same thing I did in the last 2. Howard?
Y.
We said let y equal it, right there. So, to get the final answer, you're just going to use your definition over there. What's the definition for cosecant? What is it, Alex?
R over y.
Say it again.
R over y.
Okay, so here, radical 13 over 2. Done. That wasn't too bad, but that's all using trig definitions and that stuff right there. Yes?
Is it just a coincidence that we haven't had a radical on the bottom? Or will that?
Yes, it is. So, did you hear what he just said? When you do the R over Y or whatever, if there's a radical on the bottom, you know you gotta get rid of it, yes, that's normal. All right, take your iPad out right now. Take your iPad out right now. Take out a good piece of paper.